And this sums it up here. So, we saw this post, obviously somebody's dog, I don't know exactly who this is, to be honest, they said their dog was named CC after Caitlin Clark. Caitlin's response, both are welcome courtside this year. That's one of those things. And by the way, like, people like Caitlin Clark and injuries tend to be calculated in quite a lot of things they say.
So Caitlin Clark just shattered the most important unwritten rule in professional sports negotiations. And the silence around it is deafening. While the WNBA Players Association waves around their strike threats and demands a massive 700% salary bump, Clark dropped exactly 5 words that flipped the entire script. This wasn't some accidental social media moment. This was strategic warfare disguised as a casual response. And it just exposed the biggest fiction in women's professional basketball today. Let me break down what's really happening behind closed doors. The people calling the shots in these collective bargaining talks aren't the ones you'd expect. Forget the official negotiators. Forget the union reps making all the noise. Forget the committee members issuing statements. The single most powerful voice in these negotiations belongs to Caitlin Clark, full stop. Coming in second place, Angel Reese takes that spot. Third goes to Sabrina Ionescu. Fourth position belongs to Aja Wilson. And sitting in fifth place is Paige Buckers, who hasn't even stepped foot on a WNBA court yet. These 5 athletes just dictated the league's future, and their message was crystal clear. The season's locked in, regardless of what the union thinks they can accomplish. But there's actually a 6th power player in this whole mess. And it's not even human. Nike holds that position. The swoosh has sunk more cash into Caitlin Clark than entire franchises are valued at. And anyone thinking Nike will stand by while labor drama destroys their investment clearly hasn't been following corporate playbooks. This is strategic positioning at the highest level. And the Players Association just discovered they're not even participants in this game. Here's exactly what went down. Some fan shares a story about their dog. Seems innocent enough. The dog goes by CC, obviously named after Caitlin Clark. Just another heartwarming internet story. Right? Think again. Clark fires back with 6 words that sent waves through every boardroom connected to the league. Her exact words, both are welcome courtside this year. Notice that phrase, this year, not maybe if we have games, not hopefully things work out. This year, absolute certainty. Case closed. The 2026 season just got confirmed. Don't even think about dismissing this as just another random social media interaction. Caitlin Clark stopped doing random months ago. Every statement gets calculated. Every post serves a purpose. She's operating with a full brand management team now. You really believe she accidentally leaked season confirmation? That's laughable. This was a direct message, and it wasn't aimed at her followers. This hit the negotiating rooms like a tactical strike. Angel Reese pulled the exact same move this week. She's out there discussing her major objectives for the coming season. Not crossing her fingers for a season, not hoping negotiations work out. She's mapping out playoff runs. Talking about elevating the Chicago Sky into championship contention. Speaking about wins and losses like they're inevitable. She's communicating with absolute certainty about what's coming. And you know what? For someone in her position, that certainty is justified. These 2 women represent the league's most crucial assets for completely different strategic reasons. Clark delivers the television numbers, the corporate partnerships, the mainstream media crossover that transforms niche sports into cultural phenomena. Reese provides the tension, the competitive drama, the must-see storylines that keep people glued to screens. Combined, they essentially are the product everyone's buying. And they just delivered identical messages to anyone paying attention. The WNBA is definitely happening. So why does the Players Association keep pretending they're holding nuclear weapons? Let's examine that 97% strike authorization vote. Everyone keeps throwing around. Sounds intimidating on paper, right? Sounds like complete unity across the league. Sounds like every player is prepared to sacrifice everything for the cause. But here's the uncomfortable reality. Nobody wants to acknowledge. That vote carries 0 actual weight. None whatsoever. That 97% didn't vote to walk out. They voted to give their negotiating committee permission to threaten walking out if talks collapse. Massive difference in practical terms. Put yourself in any individual player's shoes for a moment. The union approaches you asking for authorization to use strike threats as leverage if situations deteriorate. What's your realistic response going to be? Refuse? Become the single player who breaks unity? Position yourself as the person undermining your teammates' financial futures? Obviously not. You authorize the threat. You demonstrate solidarity. Even if you're terrified about missing paychecks. Even if your entire career trajectory depends on playing professional basketball this calendar year, you vote yes because refusing isn't actually an option. But let's get real about the numbers. If that authorization had come back at 60% instead of 97%, would anything fundamental change? Absolutely not, because strike threats represent the only leverage players possess in these situations. If half the league voted against authorization, the Players Association would have to surrender immediately. The league would simply proceed with their plans. So naturally, every player votes yes. This isn't about courage or conviction. This is about survival instincts and basic negotiating strategy. It's the difference between securing a 700% pay increase versus settling for a 300% increase. And let's maintain perspective about what we're actually discussing here. A 700% salary boost. The players are definitely getting substantially more money. They understand this, the league understands this. Nike understands this. This entire negotiation process is essentially performance art. The real question is how much more money and how those increases get distributed. But the notion that the season might not happen, that's pure bluffing. And Caitlin Clark just called that bluff publicly. Here's where things get genuinely fascinating. Nike is reportedly planning to debut Caitlin Clark's signature shoe during Super Bowl advertising. The Super Bowl represents the most expensive advertising real estate in existence. That's February 9th. You honestly think Nike is going to invest millions in Super Bowl commercial time promoting footwear for an athlete in a league that might not even operate this year? Get serious. Nike possesses information the Players Association is desperately trying to ignore. The season is absolutely locked in, and if Team USA fails to select Caitlin Clark for their upcoming national team training camp in March, Nike might immediately withdraw their entire sponsorship agreement. That's the scale of investment we're talking about. That's the level of influence Clark wields right now. She's transcended being just another player. She's become a billion-dollar business entity, and businesses don't negotiate from positions of weakness. They establish terms and expect compliance. Let's dig deeper into why any of this actually matters. The Players Association is attempting to manufacture crisis conditions. They're trying to convince fans that the season faces legitimate cancellation threats. The goal is pressuring the league into accepting unreasonable demands to avoid public relations disasters. But when the two most valuable players in the league are casually posting about courtside invitations and playoff aspirations, that manufactured crisis evaporates instantly. Fans stop worrying. Sponsors stop worrying. And when nobody's worried, the union loses every bit of leverage they thought they possessed. This represents absolutely brilliant strategic thinking from Clark and Reese. Whether they coordinated these moves or not becomes irrelevant, because the impact remains identical. They're systematically destroying the union's entire negotiating position by simply behaving as if the season represents established fact. And honestly, they're probably completely correct. Because when everything gets stripped away, the Players Association cannot afford to be remembered as the organization that destroyed the sport they built their careers around. Imagine carrying the legacy of being the union that killed the biggest season in WNBA history. Imagine being the reason Caitlin Clark, Paige Bueckers, Angel Reese and Aja Wilson don't play basketball in 2026. That's a historical reputation nobody can survive. The timing of all this makes it even more significant. Unrivaled just finished their inaugural season. Viewership results? Absolutely terrible. They're averaging roughly 30,000 viewers per game. Paige Bueckers is the only player consistently generating audience interest. And even those games struggled to reach 100,000 viewers unless she was featured. Natasha Cloud came out this week, claiming Unrivaled could operate year-round and eliminate their dependence on the WNBA. Bold statement. Horrible timing. Because those numbers proved exactly the opposite conclusion. Unrivaled needs the WNBA desperately more than the WNBA needs Unrivaled. When your backup plan draws 100,000 viewers, and your primary league sells out arenas with Caitlin Clark, you don't have leverage. You have delusion. And that's the brutal truth the Players Association refuses to confront. The WNBA isn't replaceable with some alternative product. The entertainment value isn't interchangeable with inferior substitutes. Fans want the established rivalries, the historical context, the championship stakes. They want Clark battling Reese. They want playoff races and title competitions. They don't want glorified scrimmages in converted warehouses. Now let's address the criticism some people will inevitably raise. Some voices will claim Angel Reese wasn't actually that impressive last season. that her statistics were meaningless production on a losing team. Those people clearly didn't watch actual basketball games. Reese was genuinely elite throughout last year. There was a 10-game stretch during the middle of the season where she averaged 17 points, 15 rebounds, and 6 assists. The Chicago Sky went 5-5 during those games. Sure, small sample size, but that's legitimate superstar production at both ends of the court. And people want to dismiss Unrivaled like it's completely irrelevant. Like it's not real basketball competition. Fine. But when A'ja Wilson is using that league to develop speed, strength, and defensive quickness, that absolutely matters. That's directly transferable skill development. When Angel Reese is refining her game against WNBA-level competition, that creates value. The first 4 games of last season, Reese performed like a seasoned veteran. She adapted quickly. She dominated matchups. She proved she belongs at this level, and now she's got superior teammates heading into 2026. If the season happens, which it absolutely will, here's what should terrify the Players Association. Every major stakeholder in this negotiation wants identical outcomes. Nike wants the season to proceed. The league wants the season to proceed. The fans want the season to proceed. And the actual superstars want the season to proceed. So who's creating obstacles? A negotiating committee that's overestimating their position. A union that believes they possess leverage they actually don't control. And a collection of role players who are about to receive massive pay increases regardless of final detail. The reality breaks down like this. The players will demonstrate solidarity because they have no choice. Strike threats must exist or they receive no pay increases whatsoever. But those threats are completely hollow. It's theater designed for public consumption. It's a negotiating performance. And when the biggest stars in the league are publicly behaving like the season is guaranteed, that performance loses all effectiveness. The bluff just got called. All the cards are visible now. And the Players Association is holding absolutely nothing. So what comes next? The league and players will eventually reach an agreement. The players will secure their massive pay increases. Everyone will declare victory for public relations purposes. And the 2026 season will shatter every record in WNBA history. Caitlin Clark will be completely healthy. Paige Bueckers will make her professional debut. Angel Reese will have her strongest supporting cast ever. A'ja Wilson will continue her dominance. Sabrina Ionescu will be entering her prime years and fans will pack arenas nationwide to witness it all unfold. But here's what I want you to consider moving forward. What does it reveal about the Players Association? That their 2 biggest stars just completely undermine their entire negotiating approach. What does it say about union power when Nike exercises more influence over season scheduling than the players themselves? And what does it tell us about the league's future when corporate interests align more closely with player interests than union leadership does? This stopped being about solidarity weeks ago. This is about survival now. And the players who actually matter just told everyone exactly how this story concludes. The season is definitely happening. The contracts will get finalized, and anyone who believed otherwise just received a reality check, delivered by Caitlin Clark and a dog named CC. The WNBA in 2026 is going to obliterate every existing record. Attendance records, television ratings, revenue generation. And it's happening because the league's superstars refuse to allow labor disputes to destroy the momentum they've spent years building. Whether you support their tactics or not, you cannot argue with the results. The season is locked in. Plan accordingly. Adjust your schedule, start buying tickets. Because Caitlin Clark just made it official. Angel Reese just confirmed it. And Nike's Super Bowl commercial will announce it to the world. The only remaining question is whether the Players Association will accept reality or continue pretending they control leverage they never actually possessed. My prediction, reality wins every time. Because at the end of everything, 700% pay raises don't appear magically. And when you're negotiating from weakness while pretending you have strength, eventually you have to fold. All the cards are visible. A bluff got called, and the 2026 WNBA season is absolutely happening. Deal with it.